Welcome back to You Don't Know Her, the Mindset podcast all about creating the best future for yourself, one by design, not by default. I can't have this, I've never had this before, like, someone laughing when I'm trying to do my intro.
Right.
No, it's fine, we're done. That's the introduction. That's how it was genuine with this show. So you got to deal with it. And I hope you look and watch this back and you think, I've made that.
Yeah, I've not got a clear in point now. Yeah.
Right. What I wanted to say, if you let me talk for one second.
Go on then.
No, yeah, right.
Finish it then.
Woo! Okay, right. I was just watching High School Musical the other day, actually, the whole show.
I watched the bit, where my favourite song from that, when it's Bet on it from
High School Musical 2.
Yeah, that's my favourite song from the one.
That's probably not even in my top 10.
Really?
I do hate to say that.
What's your favourite?
Oh, well, it's Breaking Free, isn't it? Yeah, No, but it's the remix that they do.
Would you like, I like the first one from number 3, when they do
Not seen number 3.
You've not seen number 3?
I've watched number 1 about 20 times. I've not seen number 3.
Well, watch the first... It's basically the start with like a basketball match against their arch rivals. It's really good.
Yeah, the Wild Dogs.
Yeah.
Something like that. Right.
But anyway...
Why did I say all that? What we're saying is, this episode is all about inspirations. So, whereas your High School Musicals might inspire you to, think Bet on It's a good song or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about the inspirations behind Jake Yearwood, behind the person behind the DOP and the cinematographer, you see. And I think I'm not far wrong by saying Christopher Nolan's your biggest sort of draw of inspiration, isn't he?
He's definitely right up there, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so as a filmmaker, yeah, definitely someone that, whose work I look at and I'm constantly like, I feel like, there might be someone I'm forgetting, but I feel like even now he's probably one of the few people, when he's got a film coming out and that first trailer comes out, it's like, still takes me back to like, being a kid and like being wowed, like the spectacle, like the things he tackles and takes on, I'm always like amazed by it and I'm always so excited to see his work. And yeah, like I say, so it's interesting because obviously he's a director. I'm trying to do a slightly different role, but again, there's so much interchangeability. So yeah, I definitely admire him as a visionary, as a filmmaker. But yeah, I suppose if you're looking for inspirations for DOPs that I am striving to emulate, there's a couple, I'll forget some, but very obvious one for those who are like interested in it all is called Roger Deakins. He shot 1917, which I know you've seen. He also shot Skyfall.
I can't do this because I know you too well. But no, sorry, that's very unprofessional of me.
It is, yeah.
Right, Skyfall.
Right.
Tell me about Skyfall.
What do you want to know?
What do you like about it?
Beautifully shot.
Amazing.
Beautifully shot.
Is that it?
No, there's a bit more. Righty. Yeah, so he shot 1917, which honestly I thought was brilliant.
That was a tease barrage, that wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Partly.
Was that the laugh? You've got it out your system.
No, the laugh was about Christopher Nolan, but we can come back to that.
Oh, right.
Right, go on.
Well, he likes an Easter egg.
He does like an Easter egg, you do as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, that was one of my gripe, if you don't mind me saying, because I do like your work, but I've got one gripe with one thing you shot.
Remind me.
It was the one where there was a briefcase and there was no ending to it.
Oh, Briefcase, yeah. Smoggy Productions.
I love Smoggy Productions. I'm not going to knock Smoggy Productions, but as a script, I think I agree. Leave the audience, wanting more. But
we left them wanting too much.
You left them wanting too much, and you left me wanting too much, and it really put me off.
Well, the thing is, we shot that twice as well.
Yeah. But you're learning.
Yeah.
And I think the stuff you've done since then has been, if you don't mind me saying, revolutionary. Revolutionary Road.
Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Everything has an ending.
Yeah.
Another guy, though, I'd really want to talk on as an inspiration is the one who I'm probably following the most and whose career I'm trying to emulate is a guy much lesser known, quite specific, but he's called Giancarlo Stigliano.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah, he's a DP based in America. He shot a film which was directed by Danny Gewirtz, who I was very fortunate to see earlier this year. He came down to Manchester to show his film, I Think I'm Sick. And yeah, I was able to go down, watch the film and, have a quick little chat with him afterwards. And yeah, it was great. I mean, so yeah, whilst Giancarlo wasn't there, Danny was there. And obviously Danny taught him. So I was able to learn stuff even from Danny himself. But yeah, I've started to pay more attention to Giancarlo's career, like again, YouTube, social media, and yeah, I kind of like the way he's gone about it, and it's what's given me kind of somewhat of a loose footpath to try and follow. So again, that he's a primarily commercial based DP out in America, but he's like made it quite clear narrative is the projects he's trying to take on more, but he's just aware there's more budget with commercial. So
Yeah, it's what you've got to do sometimes, isn't it? Like you want to do these passion projects. Sometimes the funding's not there for these kind of things. Whereas commercials, it's money for old rope, isn't it? It's like do a daft bit of a shoot and I'll go. Well, we might as well revisit the Christopher Nolan bit that I loved so much. It was no, just I don't know why I was getting so in my head about it all, but I wanted to talk about The Dark Knight specifically because that is I don't think you'll mind me saying that's your favourite film. Well, tied favourite with 500 Days of Summer. Is that correct? But, so The Dark Knight, right? Talk me through that. Talk me through. It's very highly rated. I think it's in the top. Well, I'm sure it's in the top 5 on IMDb, and a lot of people look at that as sort of the pinnacle of superhero movies. What has that film done for you as a cinematographer, as a DOP, in terms of how they shot that and produced that film? Is it the story that's made it what it is? Is it the techniques from your own point, is there any difference between Batman Begins, Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises purely from a visual point of view, or is it the story that makes Dark Knight stand out?
I would say not only with The Dark Knight, but with all films really and shows. It's as much as we bang on like the DP, the technical, the creative, making everything look as nice as we can. It ultimately comes down to the story. I think is what immerses the wider audience. Like you could have the most beautifully lit whatever it is, film, show, podcast, but if the subject matter of the story's not doing anything, no one's going to look at it. So to answer your question, it was the story that really captivated me with The Dark Knight. I mean, I was probably the target audience. I was much younger then, a kid growing up, and it was a superhero movie. It was Batman. I was always going to like the film, but it's just become one of my favourites. And the story's the big reason why. Like, iconic characters, Batman, the Joker, and I just remember like watching it for the first time in the cinema, and just like at the end, like just being blown away by it. Really, I probably was a little bit too young to fully appreciate it as much as I do now, but I still remember like it was just a fun day out at the cinema, and it just brings back memories. I was a bit older for The Dark Knight Rises, so that was when I got into film a bit more in terms of consuming kind of entity. Like that's when I was like I was quite into my films, like actors, directors, and taking note of who's doing what. So I was able to appreciate Rises a bit more. But again, that for me, like the story, like the conclusion to that trilogy was what sort of initially drew me in, but what kept me.
Fully agree. I mean, I love the films myself. I've loved the two, obviously, and I've still not actually got around to watching Batman Begins yet. I should probably have begun with Begins. But you mentioned Joker, and obviously I mentioned Joaquin Phoenix on my last one, but I'm going to mention Heath Ledger this time. And, going along this, Jared Leto, you're next, so enjoy that. But, Heath Ledger, I was actually just watching the other day his family's acceptance speech of his posthumous Oscar for the Best Supporting Actor for Dark Knight. He was obviously 28 when he passed away as a result of that film, really, wasn't it? That spiralled his mindset and kind of, I think it set him on a path of darkness. But
well, it's interesting. I mean, we'll not linger on it too much, because I can't fully remember the facts. You might be more across it. But there was a documentary or something that came out a few years ago now about Heath Ledger, and I Am Heath Ledger, I think it's called.
All right.
And they, I shouldn't have started this story because it's come back to me a bit more now. But I think, to be fair, they don't really talk too much about like the end of his sort of life.
What he's achieved.
It goes on about more of that. But then I'm sure I saw somewhere, maybe it was the documentary or somewhere else. I think I've watched interviews where people have talked about what he was like on set of The Dark Knight, and they said no, he was absolutely fine. Like he was a blast to be around. Once the cameras weren't rolling, he would snap back into being quite chatty and whatever. So I don't know if that's an accurate story, but I don't know it well enough to fully say what is and what isn't true.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you know more than me, I think, on that because you're more. But just from this one video I watched of the acceptance speech, that the family were very gracious and very grateful to say thank you to the film and to Christopher Nolan for giving our son the opportunity to, basically play the role he was born to play. I think they all thought it was fantastic work, and yeah, he rightfully deserved the Oscar for that. I would have thought. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you say. There's with certain things around. I want to kind of phrase this delicately, but with things like Heath Ledger, so many people like this that have achieved so much in there. Because Heath Ledger had been in many big films and big, big productions, but not just even him. There's plenty of people that achieve great success by the 20s and maybe can't sustain that or see kind of what's going on from there, and you see it lots in the world of film and music as well. So yeah, I think that's a main point of this podcast as well, to kind of get people to appreciate kind of what they have got as well, and because Heath Ledger was a phenomenal talent that would have gone on and made many more people happy and made many more successful films, I'm sure. But yeah, is that? I mean, I've obviously said probably quite a lot there. But is that something you relate to at all? I think of kind of enjoying the now, enjoying the moment for what it is, rather than focusing on the end goal or maybe how other people are doing.
It's a brilliant question, and it's really like I know what the answer should be, but I'd say if I'm being honest, I've probably gone between the two. Like, so for example, there were probably times. I can remember there was a time. It's probably about 2 years ago, where I really was like, and it's not that I'm not now, but I think I really was like happy with the way things were with my life, like in terms of like my work and just sort of my overall lifestyle. Like work, gym, friends, all that sort of stuff, and I was just like, life's going really well at the minute. Like literally, and it felt weird because again, if I'm saying that's a few years ago, I'm thinking, obviously I'm a bit younger, and I'm thinking, surely this is like what I should be getting to. Like I shouldn't be here yet. Like I felt like I've arrived a bit early. It was really nice, but I was like, I'm surprised at that. So I don't know. It's weird. So, but since then, so if I maybe fast forward to now, it's not that I don't feel that happy, but I don't know. Maybe like, again, it's like that constant. As you get to certain places, you become more aware of other things, and they're suddenly that's what you want, like that's suddenly what you want to achieve or whatever. So it's like, I think I might always be someone that's always kind of looking ahead and thinking like there's always this next thing. So I don't know, but like in terms of like, I've kind of forgotten the original question.
I thought, that's beautiful, but
it's about happiness, isn't
about
it?
happiness,
or like feeling
about
content right now.
what we've got, rather than more than. Because I agree with you, I think it's good to have that long-term vision, and I've got that myself. But I think the problem myself was I was too focused on the future and thinking, right, I've got to get there, and if I don't get there, it's a failure, or and things like that. And rather than actually thinking, for me right now, how I am now, and my mindset and the way I've kind of grounded myself more, I would genuinely rather have what I've got right now than any of the major podcasts in the world.
Gotcha.
Your Joe Rogans, your Stephen Bartlett's, things like that. I'm very content with what I've got right now.
I get you. Yeah, I don't think I'm a million miles off. Like, again, so for me, it's the filmmaking, it's wanting to make it a profession. But like a lot of what I experience at the current levels that I find myself at now, I love it. Like, so I think for me, it's like the sense of cast and crew community. So when I'm like on these sets and I'm able to, we're getting the job done, but it's also like, in between takes or whatever, I'm able to chat and socialise with people, and it's provided like kind of like a social outlet for me. Like, it's increased both my professional group, but also I've made like many friends through it. So so it's that I've really loved, and I do wonder to myself sometimes, like when I'm again doing these projects, like if I was to do something that was slightly higher up, maybe more budget, I just wonder if that would disappear, because maybe all of a sudden it becomes not serious, because the stuff we do we take very serious, but when there's money involved in, maybe you've got producers and you've got deadlines and things like that, there's less margin for error. I do wonder like how I would find that, and so that in itself is a bit scary, because I wonder if I eventually get to that point, I do wonder, like, am I still going to enjoy this? Or I don't know. So that's interesting. I mean, I do still think I would, but it's something I'm aware of, yeah.
Yeah, well, what I've started doing recently is journaling. I've started every day, or as best as I can, to write down my successes of the day, or to think. And then I look back in a week ago, or 2 weeks, or whatever it may be, and think, actually, look at what's gone on well in the last kind of few days or a couple of weeks or something. I think that's important for me personally. I find that important to do, because, like you say, you can get to the point, and I think we've seen it with many of the world's biggest stars that get to a certain point where they're jaded, where they think, well, yeah, there's nowhere to go from here. Tyson Fury says, I mean, I don't think he's an example of this, because I think he is someone who loves life, but he says, I've earned so much money, I couldn't spend it in 10 lifetimes, and all that sort of stuff. And I think some people are at that stage and not. Well, yeah, again, without, naming any names, but yeah, there's certain billionaires in the world who seem to just be doing things randomly and incredulously to maybe spark a bit more joy in the life, and I don't know. So I don't know if it's worth just thinking, right, I've got this. I've got this conversation right now with you. That's really good. I'm really enjoying that. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
I do. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, so going back to maybe the question before, or similar answer, it's like, yeah, like, in terms of happiness, like, am I happy now? And yeah, for the most part, yeah. And that's because of, like, the year I've had. And again, like, it's weird, because it's like, yeah, it's like been very productive, but it's just the opportunities it's afforded me from a networking standpoint, just getting to meet people and go places. Like, I think that's kind of what I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of these things may have been passion or no to low budget, but it's still like able to do the thing that at the minute is giving me the most amount of satisfaction.
Yeah, fully agree. And I'm just going to take you back on something you said a couple of moments ago, was about being on set and enjoying that, and enjoying the process of it and going from there. And it kind of ties into what we spoke about earlier with Heath Ledger and things like that. But I think the greatest acting performance ever in any film is... Do you remember it?
I don't.
No.
Not off the top of my head. Not on the spot.
No,
on
it's
camera.
on pop quiz. I believe it's Jim Carrey in Man on the Moon. Man on the Moon, the film about Andy Kaufman, about his life and his wildlife. And the thing with that film is, it was so good, the film as it is, but it was that good, the performance by Jim Carrey, that they made a documentary just about him, like just about his performance on that film. So there's two things you can watch. You can watch the film, and you can watch the documentary about kind of the making of the film. But the incredible thing about that was Jim Carrey, he is, he's someone to go right back. He manifested himself to be a millionaire by 1994. I think that was the year. And in that year, he had his big break, Ace Ventura, Liar Liar, and The Mask, I think. It was certainly three, maybe Dumb and Dumber or something like that. It was certainly three massive films that all came out at the same time, and they propelled him into stardom. And he thought, wow, I've created this for myself. Like, I've told myself this is going to happen, and it is. And I think since then, he's gone on and, I think, proved himself to be one of the best, not only comedy actors, but I think if you've seen him in things like Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, it shows what an amazing range he's got. But this film in particular, Man on the Moon, he is on set and he is Andy Kaufman, and he doesn't let anyone come on the set and call him Jim. And someone like Jim Carrey, I think it was Jimmy Fallon or someone like that came on and they went, "Oh, hi Jim, how's it going?" And he just didn't answer. He just went, looked around, and he's like, "Yeah," because he was that in the character, and he was in that character for 2 years, I think, when he was shooting that film, to the point where Andy Kaufman's family came and they said, "We feel that is our son, who's no longer with us." He's, Andy Kaufman's wasn't alive at the time of that film, but Jim Carrey channeled it so well that he managed to convince Andy Kaufman's family that he was him, and that is incredible to me, and that's why I think that's the best film. But it shows a dedication to a craft and the passion behind it, and I just think it shows everything, and yeah. So I don't know if kind of in terms of inspirations, I don't know, acting, if that's something that inspires you, or if it is more kind of the behind the scenes. But is that something that you think? Have you ever watched a film where you've gone, right, this is unbelievable? Like, I'd love to do something like this. Is there anything like that for you?
Do something like this in terms of try and shoot it, like be involved in it, or
Just in terms of the emotional connection you've had with it, where
Right,
you've
yeah,
thought,
yeah.
wow, that's hit me in such a way that.
yeah, I mean, there's been a ton of stuff. I think ultimately, again, it comes back to story, and yeah, that's the ultimate thing. I think whatever role we have on a set, that's what we're all working towards. You know, telling a convincing story that sends the audience home feeling the way we wanted them to. So yeah, things that I've watched. Obviously, we've talked about The Dark Knight, but a lot of things that DiCaprio's involved in, whether that be Inception, for example, that's always one that I watch and I think, wow, like the journey he goes on in that film. By the time you reach the climax, I'm thinking, yeah, that was incredible. So. Yeah, and coincidentally, that was directed by Nolan again. But there you go. Sort of brings it all back.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, definitely to answer your question. Yeah.
Love to hear that. Well, I mean, by the time I'd finished talking about Jim Carrey, we'd actually already had our time. But
Right.
I'm glad we've had that little bit of add-on. But yeah, so one more time, thank you very much. And where can the people find you if they want to see you?
Thank you for having me back. And yeah, if you want to find me, the socials are jakeyearwood.dp on Instagram.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Love that.